Hello, and welcome to day number 18 of the Live Your Authentic Life Challenge. Welcome, guys. For those of you that do not know, I am T. Renee Smith, founder of the Authentic Woman's Inner Circle, where we teach you how to build a profitable business, raise extraordinary kids, rekindle that fire in your marriage, all while staying true to yourself and to your values. So thank you so much to everybody that is joining me here today for day number 18. All right, so yesterday, which was day number 17, I always like to do a recap before I get started today. We talked about healthy relationships, and are the relationships that you have now currently hindering or helping you? Okay, so before I do my recap, I just want to tell y'all, before I got on camera today to get live with you, I was straight in mommy and wife mode. Do you hear me? Hey, Katina, how are you? I was getting prepared for the holidays, and I was in the kitchen baking my favorite recipe passed down from my mother, a pound cake. I was about to bring the pound cake up in my office and show it to you guys, because for the first time in a couple years, it just smoothed right out of the pan when I flipped it over. So guys, those of you that bake, you understand my excitement level over here. But anyway, I digress. Just wanted to let you know I am in the full holiday spirit over here, getting ready for Christmas. Okay, guys, so let's jump back into do a recap of yesterday, day number 17. So day number 17, it walked you through really what a healthy relationship looked like, where you both are pouring into each other's lives. You both are there supporting one another. Neither one of you guys are codependent on the other person. But I think the root of everything that we talked about was you have to be the person that you want to be in a relationship. You have to be whole. You have to be accepting of yourself. You have to have respect for yourself before you can expect that from somebody else. A lot of people tell you it's 50-50 in relationships. No, that means you have two broken people coming together trying to be whole. No, you bring your 100% to the relationship. The other person brings 100% to the relationship. And now you have two whole people that are healthy and are going to benefit from each other and don't require the other person to make them happy. So if you did not see day number 17, make sure that you register for the challenge so you can hear the video, hear the teaching, and do your action assignment. Hey, Linda! Happy holidays! Katina! Happy holidays! All right, so guys, if you've not registered for the challenge, you can register at trenesmith.com/authentic. So today is going to be a very deep subject for me. I normally try to keep it light, but still get to the meat and potatoes. But today is all about parenting. And right now I'm going through a training entitled Breakthrough Parenting, because I knew that it would be a value that was going to be added to my coaching. But I also knew that I needed to rethink or retrain my mind on so many things that had to do with parenting. And I know that we often say that I'm never going to be like my mother. I'm never going to treat my kids like that, or I'm never going to do what my father did. I'm going to be different. And what ends up happening is, because of cycles in our life, or because things are instinctive to us, we end up doing exactly the opposite of what we said that we were going to do. So a lot of our relationships with our kids these days or today are not what we expected. We may find ourselves yelling or screaming or, getting into power struggles with them and not understanding why. So today I want to give you maybe 3 things to think about that are going to be really thought-provoking to help you to get the kind of relationship that you want with your child. So the first thing that I want for you guys to think about is, how are you parenting? Are you parenting from a place of wholeness? Are you parenting from a place of you've gotten rid of your scars and your childhood wounds that you had? Or are you parenting and you're emotionally wounded? What does that mean? So many of us have strained relationships with our parents, whether we realize it consciously or subconsciously. So I'll just share a little bit, kind of put my business out there. But with my mother, hey Chucksy, how are you? With my mother in our relationship growing up, I always thought that she was very overprotective. I felt like I was sheltered, and I felt like I really couldn't, come to talk to her and be honest, etc. I didn't realize that those were childhood wounds that I had until I started parenting my own child. And the same thing thing with my husband. His father was not in the picture, so he really didn't know how to parent like a father. So he did what he thought, what he saw his uncles do, what he saw other people do. And so we both had to realize that we were parenting from a place of being wounded. And I know in our community, we're taught, well, a child is supposed to do what they're told to do. A child is supposed to be seen and not heard. And so that's what a lot of our teaching is. But if we really want to raise kids that are independent, that are critical thinkers, that are analytical, that express their opinions, we have to teach them how to do that. It just doesn't happen when they're adults. We have to teach them, which means that you're going to have to allow them to have conversations with you. It's not going to always be exactly what you say, okay? Then you also have to be able to love or to discipline them from a place of love and not just from a place of anger or a place of not being patient with them. So the first thing that I want you to do is just really look back at your life and decide and understand, are you parenting from a place of wholeness or are you parenting from a place of being emotionally wounded? And you will be able to tell this based on how you respond to your child. When they do certain things, does it trigger you? And it triggers you to emotions that you had maybe when you were a child and you didn't even realize it, right? So you want to do that. Number two, you really want to look at, are you living vicariously through your children? I remember my son was playing basketball and it was this dead. When I tell you he was on his son, they were like 6 years old, but he was on his son because he knew that his son was going to go play pro basketball. He wasn't able to do that. And so he was placing all of these expectations that he had on his children. And so we may do that and not even realize it. We may just think that we want the best for our kids. It could be within their grades. Like your child really may just be a B student or maybe a C student, but you expect them to have straight A's because you had straight A's. You did well in school, or maybe you didn't have the opportunity to go to college. And so you want that for your child. So now you're putting all these expectations on your child, not even realizing that's not what they want. One of my really good girlfriends, she had her daughter in dance because she was a ballerina. She was in dance class. She did it. But what happened was her daughter could care less. She wanted to play soccer. And her mother was like this girly girl and she didn't do athletics. And so she prevented her child from doing this without even realizing it. Hey, Regina, how are you? Hey, Mary. Hey, Vivian, how are you? So the second thing that you want to do is, are you trying to live vicariously through your children? Are you trying to place the dreams that you have on them, or are you allowing them to be individuals, to be themselves, to find their own way? Okay, so that's number two. The third thing that you want to look at is, how are you parenting? Are you permissive, which simply means that you don't have a lot of rules, you don't have a lot of boundaries, you want to be friends with your kids, you want to hang out with them, and so you're too permissive. You allow them to make all of their decisions. Or are you more like a dictator, where you're authoritarian, where you do what I said do because I said do it. I don't want to hear any back talk. I told you to clean that room. I told you to do your homework. I told you. So it's all about you and exerting your influence and telling them to make decisions, right? Or are you number three, which is a breakthrough kind of parent, or an authoritative kind of parent, which means we are going to make decisions together, meaning that I'm going to teach you how to problem solve. I'm going to teach you how to be analytical. Yes, we're going to have rules. We're going to have boundaries, but there are going to be certain things where I'm going to give you choices and we're going to make decisions together. And then there'll be other times where I'm going to have to tell you exactly how it is. The reason why that is so important is because I've run into so many adults, 30s, 40s, 50s, that they do not know how to make good decisions. They are just flighty. They don't know what they want in life. They don't know how to get certain things. And when you really talk to them, a lot of them had very, in their childhoods, things were actually done for them. One of my clients, her brother, he's 45, I think, or 46 years old, and he's still living at home, right? And that was simply because his parents allowed him. They did everything for him. And so he was not able to be a productive citizen. So I think we have to really think about, when we're raising our kids, are we raising them to be many versions of ourselves, meaning that we're trying to live vicariously through them? Are we raising them to basically just do what somebody else tells them to do because that's what we do? Or are we raising them to be creative thinkers, to be analytical thinkers? And I know for me, and this is just, I know normally I'm on here and I'm teaching and I have points and step by step, but today I think it really is just more about sharing. Because especially in our community, I think that there are a lot of relationships that are strained because we're not having the conversations. I know, when I was brought up, it was, beat it out of a child or spank them or they're not, obeying you. And, with my kids, they're very strong-willed. It just didn't work. So after you spank them and they still falling out or they still, hold to their opinion. I remember one time my son, I had cooked something for him, and this was years ago. And I told him, I said, listen, I said, if you don't eat that dinner, if you don't eat that food, then you're not going to eat anything at all. What happened? He went to bed and he didn't eat anything. Now, that would not have been me. As a child, I would have ate, everything that I had on my plate. But for him, I had to realize his personality. I had to realize that he was a very strong-willed child. Now, my girlfriend, on the other hand, her son was very laid back, very mild-mannered. If she said that to him, he would have eaten everything on his plate and been done. Not my son. So you've got to know the personality of your child, and you have to base your parenting on that particular child and their individual needs. So this message was really today just about having us to be aware of our role as a mother, as our role as a father. Are we parenting our kids based on us having emotional issues from our childhood that we did not deal with? Are we raising them emotionally whole? Are we raising them to be a little man and the little woman that they were called to be? Or are we trying to fit them in this mode, right? And I think this is so key, especially when it comes to educating our kids. One thing that I learned early on about my sons, and then also a lot of other boys, especially African American boys, and I've done a lot of research on this, their learning is totally different than how little girls learn. So little girls, yes, they're going to sit in the classrooms. Now we have some that are, excited and, very, very active. So this is just generalization. This is not every specific case. Okay. So please don't send me any emails or texts. This is just general. So in general, boys are more active. And so if they're placed in a learning environment where they're supposed to sit down and they're supposed to just, do these worksheets and they're supposed to be quiet, that may be setting them up for failure. And so that's why you have a lot of kids being diagnosed with ADHD and, all kinds of other diseases. Not saying that those diseases are not real, but for some kids, they really are just active. And so I know with my boys, it took a long time to find the right school, the right fit, the right teacher for them. And I know it wasn't a problem just for them. That's why I'm speaking about it. Because one of my clients, several months back, it's a medical firm. And I was actually talking to the front desk receptionist. And she said that her son actually, they were talking about holding him back because he was not interested in class and he wasn't doing the work. When she talked to her son, what she found out was that he was in a classroom of 30 plus kids and he just felt like he was getting lost. He was not doing the work and the teacher didn't take note to it until the end of the school year. Right? So I could go on and on and on and on. That's my son. Come on and say hey. I could go on and on and on about it. Say hey.
Hey.
All right. That's my oldest son, AJ, one of the ones that I was telling you was very active. He's feeling a little bit under the weather, but apparently he heard me, so he wanted to come up and say hey. You said hey?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, really the purpose of this day number 18 is one of our most important relationships is with our children. And it is so important for us to have healthy relationships with them. So your action assignment today is for you to go back and for you to assess how you are raising your children. Number one, are you raising them to be who they are? Accept who they are, regardless of what that personality is. accept them for who they are versus what you want to make them to be. Number two, is your parenting style, is it permissive? Is it where you allow them to do, things without boundaries? Is it authoritarian where you have too many boundaries, too much structure, and you're basically like a dictator? Or is it more of a breakthrough or an authoritative kind of parenting where you're teaching them how to make decisions? You have boundaries and you have structure, but you're allowing them to develop their creative and their analytical ability. Okay, so those are the three things that I want you to think about. Really assess it and then understand, are you parenting them based on how you want to parent them, or are you parenting them on what's instinctive for you? And so I know for me, I had to go and I had to read, and I'm taking a certification course now because I completely had to train my mindset in how I thought and how I parented. I was so stuck in, I think, how I was brought up that I had to learn new methods and new tools of how to be able to discipline without love, not yelling, not always screaming, not spanking, but how can I discipline them with love to still get them to do what I needed them to do, but where they would do it whether I was there or not there. A lot of the methods that I, knew, basically they would do it while I was there present, but I was not instilling the values in them to do it because this was going to make them a productive citizen, or because this was what they were supposed to do because they thought it was right. So with my kids, we go over affirmations. We go over what is it that they want to do out of their life. So it's not about me, but it's digging deep down inside of them to help them to live the life that they want to live. So just as we're in this 21-day challenge of living our authentic life, we've got to understand what that means for our children and start raising them up like that so that they can live a life full of purpose and full of value. Okay, so I know I kind of went on a little bit today, but as you can see, hey Patricia, raising children that are going to develop to walk into their own purpose and not just be a copycat of who I want them to be or who my father wants to be is so important. And then just one thing for the fathers, which is going to help the mothers too. A lot of fathers, they show their love for their kids. And I was listening to TD Jakes, talk about this earlier today not today, but yesterday when he was interviewing Denzel Washington for the movie Fences. And what they were just saying is that a lot of men, they show their love by providing, by the finances. And so a lot of them don't know how to touch into that emotional state. And so as mothers and as wives, it is our job to be able to help them to understand that, yes, it's about the providing for your child, but it's also about that relationship, that emotional connection, the hugs, the saying, I love you, and that is still manly. But that is what your son needs to see in order to be able to do that one day for his wife and for his children. So this topic is so big. I just don't hear a lot of people talking about it. So I just wanted to start the conversation today. Okay, guys. So Patricia, that's good because I started doing that when mine were older, and I wish I would have done it earlier, but now they're on fire. Yes, parents take a back seat to work, relationships, etc. You're right. And so it's so important for us to understand that having a great relationship with our kids doesn't start when they're 22, 25, 40. It starts when they're young, and we got to invest the time now in order to have that great relationship. That's not saying when they're older that you're not, you cannot create that connection. But as women, and for men too, I'm not a man, that's what I'm saying for women, we are so on fire for our career, for our business and growing and getting to that next level that we also have to make sure that we're just on fire for our children and for our husbands. So I remember, I think it hit me so hard when my son would be, Mommy, why are you on the phone, or why are you emailing? We're supposed to be spending time together. That was showing him that work was more important to him. So you see, even now, he's home for the holidays. Baby, come on in because you're part of what I'm doing. This legacy that I'm building in my business, it is for you. It is for us. No, that's not more important than that, right? So guys, I just wanted to tell you, being a mother, being a father is absolutely the greatest gift in this world. Instilling purpose in them, letting them be who they are, accepting them for who they are, not putting pressure on them to be something that they're not is so important. So take time to get to know your child, take time to get to know what they need, and take time to get to know yourself, how you parent. Take a look at yourself and see those things that you need to change. All right, guys. Yes, he did do a peekaboo. Patricia, do you see him all in the camera? I think he wants to be an actor because every time he is home when I'm on the camera, he is right there. Right? You see him? But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. And if you got nothing else, what I want you to get is that the relationship that you have with your kids and what you're sowing into their life means so much. Even if they're grown, call them, tell them how much you love them, how much you care about them, and be there for them. All right, guys, day number 18 of the challenge is all about understanding, are you parenting the way that you were parented or that you were raised? And if it is not the way that you want to parent or raise, get rid of the stuff that doesn't work. Keep the stuff that does work and really make it a priority to develop a relationship with your kids. Okay, guys? All right. I will talk to you later. I hear you, Patricia. Hey, Anthony. All right, guys. Signing off is T. Renee Smith here, founder of the Authentic Woman's Inner Circle, where we teach you how to build a profitable business, raise extraordinary kids, rekindle that fire in your marriage, all while staying true to yourself and to your values. My son's talking about some and Arthur. Yes, baby. And author. If you've not registered for the challenge, make sure that you do that at trenesmith.com/authentic, trenesmith.com/authentic. Bye-bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.